Oh, wow.
Madam Chair, we're good to go.
Okay. 4:30, oh, it's going.
I'll let me turn this off so that it's
Yeah.
not noisy if it works for the.
All right, we're not land use and planning. What meeting am I at? I'm at Public Health and Safety. Public Health and Safety, thank you. Tuesday, July 28th. We are going to hold off until all members are here. Patty's going to be running a little late, so we'll postpone approving our last meeting minutes. Chief Schrock is also out of the building and won't be in attendance, but he did give us a calls for service update. I'll just go ahead and read it so it's in the minutes. Here's a look at what our officers encountered during the Beartooth Rally in 2026. During the event, our officers had a total of 146 calls for service, 72 traffic stops were conducted with 20 traffic citations issued, 12 cases in total were generated, 7 of these were criminal cases, 5 arrests were made, 3 were for felony crimes and 3 were DUI, and 18 articles of evidence were collected to include the following: 4 firearms, 3 grams of meth and drug paraphernalia, 5 knives and edged weapons, and 1 stolen motorcycle recovered. So that's just for the Beartooth Rally weekend?
This is just from the week of the
4
rally. Days, 60, 70, 18, 4 days.
4 days,
Thursday
July.
through Sunday, I guess.
Yeah.
So, he did say that there were some significant issues, which for 4 firearms and 3 grams comes into that.
Mm-hmm.
There had been some earlier concern that there was going to be some pre-planned conflicts that did not materialize,
Okay.
which is from rival gang members that were coming. That I think that's just an appropriate thing to be aware of. He did express some concerns in working with their security up there.
Okay.
We had actually had a meeting early on the week. We met with police, fire, EMS, and the team that they bring in to do security. Chief Schrock expressed some concerns that they were hanging on to it a little bit too much. There was some things that they should have reached out that they were choosing to handle on their own. I think that will factor into the conversation next year. But basically, his position, which I fully support, is they are the ones charged with the safety within city limits, and they're not going to abdicate those rights and
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities. As much as somebody else would like to say, we've got it taken care of. You'll either work with us, in which case we're happy to work with you, or they will have a more solid presence up there during the event.
Were there any other, like, I feel like there was a large police presence, like, just around. Were there other towns or counties that had also?
Historically, we have several different agencies that come in
Okay.
together and watch. So there's FWP, there's a probation and parole. there's
Stillwater County comes.
Stillwater,
Yeah.
the counties,
You see
the
that.
state. So the answer is yes. We have
Okay.
a whole bunch of people that show up basically to make sure that the gang element does
Mhm.
not become a factor.
Articulate, right. I'm curious to see how these compare to last year. I mean, I don't know, I just,
Doesn't seem that
We can.
it
bad
does,
to me.
it doesn't seem that many, but it also,
I wasn't here.
it was quieter. Was it not, I mean, was it just like, I've asked around and everyone said it was much
They,
slower.
as compared to many years ago when they took over the whole town,
Right,
the normal, everyday visitor
right,
was still present on the streets. There was places for them to park,
yeah,
they were shopping in the shops.
correct,
So it
Some
didn't
normality
have as big
to
an
it.
impact on regular
Yeah.
retail
Yeah.
as
right.
historically. It gets a little better each year because
They keep it, well, and that's,
the people that participate in that event are getting older and they,
I was at that
I think in
meeting.
part that the event organizers actually do a very significant effort in getting people out and around and driving
Mm-hmm,
so that they're not
all,
an overwhelming presence down. But I think Rob raises a good point too, that the nature of this crowd is it's aging out
It is,
a
okay.
little bit as well.
Yeah, I was talking to a gas station owner, and she was saying that her numbers were bad, like, not good at all. She expected it to be a lot better for her. I didn't see too
There's
much.
just not as many bikes around.
Yeah, well, and I noticed that all summer long, like, usually leading up to it and all summer, you hear various bikes, and it just hasn't been as
I've seen a lot of
obvious.
Do you know what the store numbers were, Rod, year over year?
I haven't tracked them yet.
Yeah.
It's a crowd that
Yeah,
is not being replaced by the younger generation. The younger generation is going to the mixed use bikes and doing the
E-bikes.
backcountry roads, BDRs and,
mhm,
the BMWs. They're traveling and exploring differently than what the old Harley riders were doing.
I think the primary impact from a financial to the city is, that I've seen, is vacation rentals, and then the servers in the restaurants downtown
Right.
consistently report that that's one of their best weeks.
right.
It's a bar, restaurant,
Absolutely.
Friendly.
friendly event, yes.
I'm also intrigued by what classifies an edged weapon.
Besides a knife, you mean?
Well, besides like a saw, like,
My guess is it's probably a legal definition and term, and they just cover that, so it has a lot of
Something
things in it.
handmade, I'm sure,
It could be an axe, yeah. I don't know.
homemade,
He
handmade.
could maybe be able to answer that.
I'm Googling it also. Hand-to-hand combat tool or weapon that features sharp cutting edge, knife, sword, or dagger. Anything that is designed to cut, slash, or stab. Noted. Okay. Now that we have that, moving on. Okay, Patty's not.
She would do the fire district
She'll do
as
the fire
well.
district. Safe zone. Man, I'm gonna keep this on here until I see signs go up. I'll say it
Patty, I
every
think,
time.
was gonna go talk to them, I think, but
I drove by the other day at dinner up at my cousin's house and took that route to get to his place, and there were kids running between the Boys and Girls Club to the park, back and forth, and there is no kids that play signage. Like, I purposely did a loop around the park to see if there were any coming in from town. Then there's nothing. And then today, when I was driving down Oak, coming out the corner by the post office and Babcock and Miles corner right there, I mean, it was one of my daughter's friends, but, so maybe she walked out in front of us on purpose, I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of close calls, and I'm worried that it's just a matter of when it happens, not if it happens. So I'd like to see more safety on Oak, if possible. I don't know who else to raise it up, or raise it to, or who I need to speak to, or talk to Boys and Girls Club and see if they have anything.
yeah, or if they've had any, incidents, but having, all the road closures helps a lot. Down by Lions Park, it's been closed for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Down by my house, it's closed for 3 weeks. I mean, it slows people down.
Right. It did.
We can't count on that forever.
No, and then my concern was like, now that they were working over here, all the traffic that used to use this as a side street moved back up the other side street.
A new street will make it really nice to go fast.
Mm-hmm. It'll be super fast, zoomy.
Flashing signs are still gonna get the attention, just regular signs.
It's not, we need something
It's just gonna
flashing.
be background noise that nobody notices.
I think we kind of decided on that, we just haven't, made any steps.
No, nope, so, like I said, I'm just gonna keep it
Keep it on there.
until I see something go up. Yeah, I didn't have anything else on here. We had the car show this weekend. It seemed relatively smooth sailing.
I'll ask the mayor, having viewed a couple of the meetings,
Mm-hmm.
the bear issue
Okay.
probably falls under this committee,
It does.
okay? And so there's been discussion of reopening that ordinance.
The question is, and we need to get, an opinion from legal counsel. The ordinance is there, and we can start writing tickets. The question is there a possibility that there's a situation where there's an uncertainty about who's being issued the ticket, who's gonna pay it? So like, if it's a vacation rental, doesn't really do good to go give a ticket to somebody who wasn't there when the event, you know,
Right.
Right.
2 days later or whatever. So I think it just, does that need to be revisited and modified, so.
I guess, seeing what's happening and hearing of purposeful attraction of animals through feeding,
Mhm.
Okay.
it seems like that wasn't addressed in the ordinance because it was more the misuse of.
Ours is just trash, and the state currently,
Here's my concern. The state citation is insignificant
Mhm.
from a penalty point. And yet, we've lost 6 bears,
7 now.
7 now, and that behavior also increases the risk to the general public because of the bears are
Agreed,
being drawn in.
100%.
Right.
I think the city should consider a more significant fine for purposely, you know, it's a they're doing this on purpose. They're feeding the animals for whatever excuse it might be,
Mhm.
but they're intentionally doing it, and that should have a more significant fine
I agree.
than, oops, I messed up with my garbage. To me, I
Oops.
mean, because they're creating a bigger issue to the community than, you know, just the garbage.
What, I mean,
And I don't know if you can do $500 fines, or, the city's probably limited on,
500 we can do, but that's our max.
yeah.
I will tell you, and this is some additional newer information, the intentional baiting that I'm aware of happened outside the city limits. That doesn't mean that there's not been piling and stuff inside.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're talking to the right committee if you wanted to make a suggestion or recommendation that we pass anything that has any behavior that is intentional and will result with bears in town.
Good. I just wanted to throw that out there, and hearing that might get reopened, that ordinance may be reopened for.
I think that would be a new ordinance, because ordinances are allowed to deal with one topic. So that's specifically about trash, and that's where it is in code.
Okay.
But they could write another ordinance, whatever they want, really.
I throw it out there for
Council's
consideration.
prerogative.
no, I agree. We were having to, I mean, going on social media and discussing it with different forums. People are pretty fed up and upset about it, and
So the intentional behavior leads to the destruction of an animal
Mhm.
and the endangerment of the general public.
Absolutely.
And it should be dealt with severely.
According to Montana legislature, 87-6-216, unlawful supplemental feeding. This, in Montana, the fine for illegally feeding wildlife ranges from $50 to $1,000, plus potential jail time for up to 6 months under this code. Purposely or knowingly attracting large animals such as deer, elk, moose, bears, or mountain lions with food is a misdemeanor offense. So, does that, I mean, according to Montana code annotated,
What I would say is go look at, I want to say 7-1-111,
okay,
is the code that, we can make code about anything that's not included on that list. That's the powers of,
the city,
or self-governing powers defined, and that defines the exclusions.
on the same, all right.
If you do MCA 7-1-111, see if I remember correctly.
Wow,
Powers denied,
no,
1-111. You could actually Google powers denied is how I would normally do it, but
okay, well, power's denied.
there we go. If it's not on that list, so that's the list of things we cannot pass ordinances on. as long as something about wildlife and bears is not on that. And some things are there because it's reserved by the state.
Mhm.
So that's where the licensing about alcohol or pot shops or firearms and other stuff, they have 2 or 3 different entries there. I would check and validate that.
Good Lord, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. But if there's none of them that apply there,
Okay.
then I would say have at it, write the ordinance that you want.
We need to, someone needs to have a conversation with our fishing game,
Okay?
find out, because it's been going around that it's not a significant fine, but having just heard what was read, it could be up to $1,000.
It could be up to 1,000. They said the average is 134 is what practically gets done. They shared that actually in the bear meeting, and then we shared it in city council, so.
Which is fairly insignificant. I have people that come into the store and clean off the bread rack
To go feed.
to go feed animals.
Mhm.
And they get very defensive when you tell them to put the product back on the shelf.
I'd love
We
to
still
tell you
have
this,
bread
but
for
it
people.
might be why you're buying 50 loaves of bread.
And you say that in jest, but I've seen
Wow,
people buy shopping carts
just to
full
feed.
of bread to go feed their deer in the city limits.
Do they pay with cash or credit card? Do we have documentation?
So it's just, it is an issue,
Yeah, I agree.
but
No, I
I'm
mean, if
not
we
sure
can,
how the city should handle it.
I don't know, I mean,
I would,
I'm,
look at other cities' ordinances too, see how they're handling it. That's always a good,
right,
good way to get
A feel on it.
information and how they're handling it. To, cities like Livingston and West Yellowstone would be.
West Yellowstone is probably a good one to reach
Yeah,
out to. I can do that.
Ordinance they have, there's probably some, other good towns and,
Well,
our size.
Our size within the, that have a wildlife population such as our own, right?
Because everyone's dealt with it, so it's nice to steal from them if they've worked on it.
Right, well, and I feel like I do feel like it's not just a Red Lodge issue. I feel like it is something across the board. I mean, obviously Yellowstone.
But I don't know if it's my imagination, but I live right in town, and I walk my dog between 10 and 11 every night,
Uh-huh.
and there's no one out anymore.
10 and 11 PM?
Yeah, go pee,
Oh.
just go to True Value and then circle around Boys and Girls Club and,
The loop.
but there's no one walking around anymore.
Uh-huh.
It's really made a dent in people out
Right.
at that hour. 'Cause it's light until 9-ish still.
Exactly.
And, but after that, I don't know, it's my imagination, but it's just very quiet in town.
Interesting.
Walkers.
Well, yeah.
Activity of people is really tied to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The grocery store, in the summertime, when the sun is up until we close, we're busy right till the time we close.
Mhm.
The wintertime, when the sun goes down at 5 o'clock,
It,
it gets very quiet after 5 o'clock.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people walking their dogs up and then some of your employees, I see them walking home.
Mhm.
They walk by True Value and.
The general population, their activities are really,
I'm just curious if
the
it's,
sun- they follow the sun.
well, I know, but I'm like with Ann, I'm kind of curious to see if this has to do with,
People say, you're walking your dog at 10 o'clock at night, it's like, just all well lit and.
right.
So, Dave,
I don't know.
during the bear meetings, did they talk about populations, as estimated population of bears or anything like that?
They really haven't. They've just said that the primary things were that bear behavior significantly changed, more of them here,
Yeah.
getting both grizzlies and black bears.
Mhm.
I've subsequently found that is true of multiple communities. I went over to the park on one weekend and it was 100 degrees, and when you know how you always ask at the gate, what are we keeping our eyes open or what's different?
Mhm.
They specifically called out, for whatever reason, the bears are out. It doesn't matter that it's hot, it doesn't matter. It's like one of those alien movies where suddenly all the animals,
Are
I
there?
know that the black bear behavior has changed because of the grizzly bears. I've seen it around my house, where the black bears used to be out at night, now they're out during the day.
Yeah.
Because the
Grizzlies
grizzlies
are
are out
out.
at night.
Well, the grizzlies are out at night too, because that, I want to say 8:36, again, I'd have to look at my notes for the number, that specific bear, that grizzly,
Did we-
is a track bear.
Briefly yet? Did they catch
And
that?
by the way, that was the finding of that. My understanding of that, 896, if it matters. My understanding of that is, it is not that it's some bad science that's behind that. The individual that's involved has cited a report that says if you feed the bears, then they won't be aggressive toward humans. And that they're reading a report that, you know, think about all the other things we've had in our culture and society lately where there's,
Make love, not war.
well, I think, the way that they described it was there's good science, there's bad science, and then there's dangerously bad science.
Yeah.
And that's what they
Well,
talked about
they
this.
see an expert on YouTube and
Yeah.
they follow
Follow it,
that
yeah.
poor advice. And
Oh, no.
We have inadvertently, bears have lost their fear of man because we treat them as a
Mhm.
picture opportunity. And so
Yep.
even in the wild, they encounter humans, they get their picture taken and that's all. So they've
Yeah.
lost their
And
fear.
that happened within the park too with wolves, you know, and there was a concern there because you spend all of this time training, directly or indirectly, wolves that, hey, there's people and it's no big deal, ignore them, go about your business. And then they walk across the invisible dotted line that's the edge of the park and get dropped.
Right.
This last bear that was killed, in the last meeting, I had mentioned that there was one that I saw walking on a trash can when I came down.
Mhm.
And FWP actually went up and pelted him with rubber bullets.
Bullets, yeah.
That was the bear that was taken down in the MK campground. So that's it's, like I said, it's behavior that's changed and yeah, we've got to get to the point that we're scaring them off, or, you know, if we see one, rather than taking pictures, we honk our horns, we rattle pans, holler and scream,
Yeah.
and we need to do it large scale as a community. Because my biggest fear, don't get me wrong, anybody who knows me knows I'm very, very upset that bears are getting taken down. I'm also terrified about what happens, you know, that black bear in the pizza in the tent up at Perry's a few years ago.
Right.
That could now happen in town
Exactly.
as easily as it did up there. And to your point, we have a responsibility to do what we can to help prevent that.
Yep. And everybody is afraid of the bear, as they should be,
Mhm.
but they are not as fearful of the deer, and the deer are very dangerous as well. If you've ever seen a deer strike with its front feet,
They're sharp.
Yes.
it can split you right open.
Yes. Oh, my God. Yeah.
And so it goes back to intentionally feeding deer breeds deer that beg.
Mhm.
I mean, they'll follow you around.
Oh, I got into a tug of war with a deer. It had grabbed my sandwich off of a table, and we grabbed it at the same time. And my husband, I was like, "Are you seeing this?" I was like, "You should take a picture." He goes, "No, it looks like you're intentionally feeding it." And I was like, "No, I'm trying to keep it
right.
from eating because it's
Yes.
still wrapped in plastic wrap."
Oh, shoot.
And then I finally was like, "That deer is going to rear up at any point." I was like, "What?"
You take this.
We had a close call in, Glacier with the deer when my daughter was little. It was Waterton, actually.
Mhm.
But the deer were on the street just like they are here, and they were conditioned
Mhm.
that people would feed them, and it walked up to my daughter, and she saw a flower, so she bent over to pick it up, and it struck on each side of
Oh,
her
my God.
with her front feet. It just, because it startled the deer,
Yeah.
because she went down
Yeah.
low, fast, and so it struck out with its feet and just barely
Wow.
missed her, but that was my education, that feeding deer and it can be hazardous to your health.
There was one, the last one that was shot in town, and it was actually FWP who took it out,
Mhm.
but it was a police officer that was there on site, and it actually bluff charged him 3 times. My
Yeah.
understanding is there's actually camera
Yeah.
footage of him being charged 3 times, and then it ran up into a tree, and they said, "We're good, we'll just hold solid until FWP gets here."
And then FWP came in,
And then they called the game warden.
got it down.
Anyway, time and you've got all your papers now.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no, I definitely want to look into that and see.
maybe
going
it's time for
through.
Dan McHugh to come back to a meeting and fill us in a little bit about what's really going on.
Dan the Bearman?
Dan McHugh, yeah, well, Dan's there.
Daniel McKean, yeah.
Call him Dan the
I've got his phone number.
I do too, just the nature of where I live.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
But he came about
Yeah.
9 months ago, but now we're in the thick of things, and,
And he's talked about wanting to do another big community-wide meeting as well,
Oh,
but it's also because of how busy they are.
yeah,
They have limited resources and they're being taxed by the number of, I think somebody had commented that the bear meeting, that was out there, I mean, there was 5 FWP guys there
yeah, that's what.
that showed up. Somebody said, I'm trying to think if I remember that many, 1, 2, 3, actually it probably was.
Wow. All right. Well, no, what is this?
And again, it's a problem that's not unique to Red Lodge, but we want to make sure we're doing everything we can. One of the things that came up in Public Works is the other types of trash cans that people can operate more easily as their hands get older.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike was going to reach out on that. I haven't heard back. He was going to do that today. So it's like swapping out for the toter cans.
I haven't even, which ones are they, I'll have to see which ones.
The toter cans are blue and they have two things
Oh.
you do. And so it's a different type of mechanism.
Because I have the one that has the latch underneath and you can hear it.
That's what
on my-
most of us have.
that's what I have still.
But like mine would jam, and so the way that I would open it was I
Throw
would,
it on its back.
yeah, exactly. I would I would hold the lever and then toss it to the ground and then it pop
And
open.
the reason is, the way it works is there's a V inside of there,
Yeah.
and the ball is dropping down to hold it, so when you throw it down, the ball rolls out,
Yeah.
and then the lever works.
Yeah, but I mean, every morning my trash cans have been knocked over, but they haven't opened.
And if you get individual calls as council members,
Mm-hmm.
we did get 50 of those replacement cassettes that Public Works has. So if they call into City Hall and say, my can is not functioning, Public Works has the ability to go out and swap those out, and tell those are gone. So we're still trying to actively do that, and
Okay.
that goes back to your ordinance.
Okay.
And I suspect that once we start dropping some fines, which we can do in 2 weeks, there will probably be people, well, but my can doesn't work. Tell it to the judge and call and get your can fixed.
Exactly.
The other thing that did come up in the public services meeting, which I think is very positive, and I'll try to mention it tonight, I've got a couple different reports down here and up on the golf course that a bear went through and was slamming down cans.
Mm-hmm.
And this was on this block right here and across. And the next morning, all the cans were down, but they were all still closed.
Yeah.
So the cans did their job if they're used properly.
Right.
I do like those toter cans. We have one at work, and the alley always gets hit, where I work, and it
Are they-
works every time, like, it hasn't spilled garbage out, like the other cans.
The other one?
Leather.
Yeah.
The toter seems to work a
Huh,
lot
I'll have
better
to look in that.
for us.
And hopefully, if we can all let our inner Ann come out and talk to our neighbors.
Yeah, good, yes. She's a
See,
great
we don't really
communicator.
talk to them until, like, growling at them.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of civility in
No.
that conversation. Awesome. Okay, well, before we get too off track, let's go ahead and jump back up.
To the minutes,
Do the
Thank you for
minutes.
doing
Did you want to add something
or
to the
did you have
minutes?
something? Oh.
No, I just didn't want to be gone, didn't I?
I thought you had
I thought you might have something to make corrections.
Well, the only thing
No,
I
not
have a
at all.
correction on is it was not a city council meeting. It was, I don't have.
Public health and
It was
safety.
public health and
And it
safety.
said city council.
Yes, it's city council.
Oh,
And
okay.
then,
Good
the,
catch.
Good job.
could have been one more thing. I wasn't here, no, was I here? No, I wasn't here.
No, you weren't here.
That's
But
why.
But you were the one that probably read through it more.
I
More
did
with
read
the
them this
fight
time,
and-
yes.
yeah.
The thing that was interesting to me is that Greg said that,
There was a
fireworks were down.
Yeah.
And I noticed the same thing. Did anyone ask him what his idea, why it was down?
No. Well, and, I mean, I had a couple
Call.
theories, and then I wanted to see if anybody actually talked to the guy the fireworks stands and see if his sales were down also. Like I said, my theory was everybody went so hard, because it fell on that weekend, everybody
Oh,
went so
right.
hard on the second
Second
and
and
then
the
third,
third.
and by the time the fourth rolled in, it was just kind of like,
We're
I'm
done,
good.
we're over.
I don't know, it was just one day and it wasn't bad.
it wasn't.
One
You
night,
thought so
one
too?
night.
And
So,
you were
I
here
just
for
wondered
that?
if Greg had any ideas, but.
No, and even leading up to it, like usually it's a thing, second, third, fourth, even into the fifth and sixth, and I didn't
I wonder if there were people were afraid of the fire and the dryness of it, or.
I hope so. I hope that might have been,
There's,
the
that
city
begs
did
the
a-
question if the tourists care about us. I mean, do they care about the fire? Do they care about the bears? Do they-
Right.
Well, but I think,
don't know.
the incorrect assumption there is historically, the fireworks has not been just tourists, it's just as much local as it
Yeah.
is tourists. There's part of me that says the city did a much bigger show this year, or the
Yeah.
chamber more accurately, but I think people would have already bought their fireworks before they realized the city was doing a better
Exactly.
show, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe, and we did get the no fireworks in city limit signs up.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Early.
say, when were those put up? Because
Probably
that may
10
have
days
helped.
before the 4th. It was just a couple weeks before, and I
Oh.
said, hey, notice the signs aren't up, and they were up that day.
yeah, we have
Great.
because there's one right up, not far from our property
Oh,
line.
down there, yep.
Yeah.
Every
So-
entrance coming into town.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like,
my-
oh, there it is.
Myself and my dog noticed and appreciated it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he still slept right.
I was scared, he was
Well, I'm like-
preparing himself.
No, this is, and in all honesty, this is the first year that my kids didn't go and buy fireworks,
Wow.
so.
So why didn't
I
they?
feel like.
Let's ask
Because
you.
they
You're-
went so hard on the second and the third, and
They
I don't
did
know,
not.
they're older, they had more important things to spend their money on, they're more mature, I don't know. I have no idea.
It was interesting just to see that, but maybe things are working.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause we went up, and as soon as the city ones were over, usually we kind of just hang out to see, look in any direction to
Yeah.
see which one, who's putting off the next show, and there wasn't, so.
I still have battle wounds from
Oh
the
my
4th.
God.
It looks like I got bit by a viper. And like, I was in my walker and it shot up under my, like,
Oh,
it was like
gosh.
a faulty thing, and then it happened twice.
And then you couldn't move?
Right,
With your
yep,
walker?
It's getting burned. Through my jeans, and it's still there.
It's going to.
And what day
It's
is
a-
it? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was okay, but I mean, those fireworks, it was faulty. It flipped and came out of every single direction, and I don't think it was supposed to do that. So I looked for
Huh.
recall notices on it, and there was one a long time ago, but in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
But hopefully everybody was safe and there were no accidents reported
Yeah,
either
that's
with
what
it,
you had
so
said,
that
there
was
was-
really good, yeah.
there wasn't any. Oh my God. Except for yours. Did you call
My
it in?
neighbor. No, I got going. My friends, no. And it was outside city limits.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, any new priorities? I think we should definitely look into this bear safety. I mean,
Yeah.
see what we can come up with. I'll keep looking through the,
And look at that powers denied.
Yeah,
See if
power
there's-
denied.
If it's something we can't write an ordinance to, and if it's not, pass the ordinance.
yeah.
And I was trying to listen when I was at my other appointment,
Looking to see who we're on.
oh, thanks, I was trying to
like, oh,
figure
she's on
it out. It took a while for the Wi-Fi, but, so about the bear ordinance, what you guys talked about real quick, was that, I heard you guys talking about feeding animals and.
Yeah, so currently, Mayor
Okay,
said he had heard that the fine is right around $134. But then I just pulled up the Montana State, and it can be
Yeah.
anywhere from 50 to 1,000.
Oh, okay.
And so
Thank you.
we're just kind of trying to figure out why ours is low.
Oh,
Right, and see if there's something that we can do as the city to come up with something.
okay. Thank you for catching up.
I'm all for it. I don't know. I'm all for public shaming also.
Yeah,
So is
134
there
doesn't seem impossible.
city-approved document for visitor notifications? Listening to the meetings, they're saying that there's supposed to be information for the visitors at each
I think
vacation.
probably
Vacation
the
around.
vote, yeah,
Is that authorized by the city, or is that another organization providing that information?
Feel like the
I
business
feel like
line or
Land use
something?
and planning put something together, I think, that went in.
A pamphlet,
They
oh,
hand
yeah,
out.
for the.
Does the chamber, because I know the chamber's pretty good about stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And I know we have a tendency to blame the visitors in our community, but
But-
I suspect that our residents are
Yeah,
just as guilty, if not more guilty, of a lot of these things.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
agreed.
they're not, I can tell you, talking with neighbors, they're not as well educated as you would think living in bear country.
Mm-hmm.
They're just as clueless as our visitors.
Yeah.
I have to
had
put a
one that was
bungee on
directly
them.
responsible for the demise of a bear in our neighborhood,
Oh.
just because They were just
didn't.
clueless.
No.
Do they understand and learn from that though, so it's less likely to happen again?
I'm hoping they were traumatized at the fact that they called Fish and Game, and then Fish and Game came and killed the bear, and
I hope right in
they were
front of them.
totally traumatized by the whole event. It's like, you fed the bear.
What did you expect to happen?
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing,
The big
I want
giant
to
sign
reiterate,
everywhere, fed bear, dead bear?
Yeah.
the important thing I want to reiterate there, that FWP has said on multiple occasions, and it's a fine line, but bears don't get killed for getting into trash. Bears get killed for aggressive behavior with
Right.
humans. The fine line
Well-
is that if a bear gets into a trash, they very quickly become aggressive to humans.
They look at you for food. They're begging.
Yeah, they're associating
That
people.
approaching somebody is seen as being aggressive.
Well, one question I'd like to ask Dan, whatever his last name is.
McHugh?
Why didn't, Fish and Parks give that person a ticket that was in your,
It is still an active investigation. I can answer
Are you
that.
familiar with this case?
I am, this one, no, I'm
No.
sorry, I'm
Oh.
talking
This
about the
was
other
a
one.
couple of years ago, so.
There's still an active case going on up there, correct? Like they're trying to get,
Well, I don't know where the feeding was occurring. It's not occurring in our neighborhood, I can tell you that. If it is, it's being done very secretly, and there's a
Well,
lot
then
of
if it-
secrets in our neighborhood.
also, if they're doing it so secretly, then they definitely know that it's not permitted.
Right, and they're aware of the.
And my understanding is there has been contact and conversation, and it's an active and open case, because the county attorney did not feel that they had enough to prosecute and win. In fact, I think there was even a question about whether they had enough to get a warrant, but they're still actively, like I said, it's an open case.
I'm trying to find any sort of ordinance that we have against wildlife, and now I'm not
Are you talking
finding.
about the Waterworks bear,
Um,
that case? Is that a case?
It's one that's been down here in town, but it's also been, 896 has been up by the waterworks, but there was also a black bear in that same area. In fact, they were going for the grizzly and got a black bear that had been problematic. So.
Oh,
You're right.
You can't prosecute lack of education, or can you?
Well, you can prosecute the behavior, but the burden of proof, we live in a wonderful country, you're innocent until proven guilty. So you've got to be able to, say what?
Unless you're a bear.
Well,
Right,
I'd like
yeah.
to think that they're proven guilty too, it's just not their fault that they're guilty.
I mean,
I think the grizzly bear that they're trying to catch, she's been collared before.
And she's been
caught
moved before.
Which I think means she
Comes
knows
back.
how to avoid getting caught again.
And that is the report.
I just don't understand. I mean, I grew up here. I was a kid here. Like, this is nothing that is new. Like, I remember being 8 years old, and it was ingrained that between certain hours, usually about 5 o'clock to 8 p.m., be aware, get off the streets, because that's like the dusk time when the bears usually came out. And, I mean, I was a kid when Yellowstone was on fire, and we had a grizz and her 2 cubs living behind our house, which at the time was right on Adams, where basically the old museum is,
Oh, yeah.
and where like the laundromat area is, right? And it was never an issue.
Yeah.
Like, you would see bears, and you knew, I mean, I grew up here knowing, okay, if it's a black bear, you know, it's not gonna, it'll be annoyed, but it's more scared of you. At least that was the theory back then. It's more scared of you than you are probably of it. And that's not the case anymore, and it's scary. I mean, I remember when we first moved back and my daughter saw a black bear, and there were a bunch of tourists at the Chateau Rouge, and she and her girlfriends, there were 3 of them, and the tourists were trying to be all protective, like, hey, there's a bear. And one of her friends, who, you know, also growing up here, asked them, they're like, is it a black bear? And they're like, yeah, it's right here, you know, you guys, girls, be careful. And all 3 girls charged screaming at the bear to make it run away. And the tourists were so appalled by these 3 young elementary kids chasing off a bear. And I'm like, okay, well, you just sitting there watching it, like, isn't helping. So it seems like a different dynamic all around, and it's frustrating. So if there is something we can do, if there is some sort of ordinance where we can increase the fine, where we can do something, I'm all for it.
And 134 doesn't seem like it would deter too many people.
No,
from
I
their
mean, I've
habits.
gotten
I
bigger
think
speeding
you need to
tickets.
look at it beyond bear.
Yeah.
The deer problem,
Mountain
We have a
lion,
turkey
turkey
problem.
problem, yeah.
And prey animals in high concentration bring in predators.
Yeah,
So
that's
then
what
you have a
Jody always
mountain lion
says,
problem,
the mountain lions, yeah.
you know, it's,
Haven't heard anything about them
I-
lately.
I
Yeah.
have never
their
been,
population, I think, has been hit fairly hard.
Mhm. With that, with,
Well, I know several have been taken out, that, on the waterworks,
Oh.
that's a main,
It is.
Thoroughfare.
and we, Don has his camera that everybody watches
Uh-huh.
on Red Lodge Wildlife Sighting.
Yep, with
which
his
is-
little pool.
that's that main thing.
I will share that I asked point blank and was told that Don is not the suspect in question.
No,
He's
the only
not-
thing I'm aware of is he gives them toys to play with, which I question whether that's conditioning them to think of our backyards as playgrounds, but, you know, it's not violating any laws, and it's not close to a house where he puts it, it's out in the middle of the woods.
And it's not in city limits, so we couldn't write an ordinance that addresses it
So,
anyway.
you know, I don't know how that would affect their behavior, that would be a bear specialist to say,
Yeah.
this does or doesn't condition them in a certain way, but he puts out a kiddie pool with water.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the water is,
And he has for years, but, and it's entertaining, but I always.
Well, now, yeah,
how
but
that
then it's,
conditions the animal.
well, not only that, how many people come across that site and say, hey, look, he's got a kiddie pool out there, what if we go out there and put something else? And,
Or if we do something at our house.
right, and try to do something similar,
I'm not
baiting-wise.
aware of any baiting within our,
mhm.
in that stretch, but, they definitely use it.
Yeah.
And we're in a cycle, I think, that, and there's the bell curve of populations,
Mhm.
and right now, prey is high and predators is low.
And last year, we had, I think, one bear all year, so it obviously goes in cycles.
Yeah.
We had no idea, why we only had 1 or 2 bear encounters last year, we just got lucky. apparently.
Well, they killed a lot of bears.
They killed, the year
The year
before.
before, so does next year gonna be down because the problem bears have been removed?
Eradicated.
And let's just not create any new problem bears to backfill them.
Mm.
I'm surprised that, and I know people are gonna be really sensitive about it, but I'm really surprised that they allow bird food in town. I just feel like that's an attraction.
So again, coming back to this group,
I mean, do
we
you
have,
think
not- we have not,
We,
do you guys want to approach the?
We talked about it a year ago,
Feeders? Yeah.
yeah.
and True Value won't stop selling it, because it's a big draw. I think I called, was it US Yellowstone or Gardner? It's hard to get people to stop feeding
Yeah,
their
they're
birds.
protective.
And then they'll say, well, I bring it in at night. Bullshit.
Mhm.
Everything falls on the ground. And then she said, well, the mice eat it. I'm going, you're still attracting things to your
Right,
yard.
and our mice population this year is,
So I'll be
insane.
happy to
Disgusting.
tackle it again, but it was just, I'll never forget this, that I quoted all the time. Kevin Nichols, I was sitting at dispatch, back in the day when people could just walk in and out.
mhm.
And he was talking, and he said, Scott Cope was there, and Kevin, all were just back in the fun days. And he goes, if I got a bad diagnosis, I go up to Billings and blow up the birdseed stores. And I never forgot that,
Well,
because that's causing the problem. And so.
Well, and I remember,
and I will tell you, FWP would love it if the city would pass an ordinance and say you can't have bird feeders without some appropriate mitigation, like AKA you have an electric fence around it, or
Well, and I remember.
I'm happy to do that, because this is right in my
This is the body.
wheelhouse.
you guys
I
aren't the body who
feel the
makes
same
the
way. I
determination
agree.
if that's intruding too much on people's liberties and rights, or if we want to do it in the name of public
Plus,
safety.
we're in
And
the middle of a
public safety.
bear siege, and everyone's, and, you know, everyone's paying attention, so why not
I would,
talk about it now?
Yeah, I would talk, like, definitely
But
put it
I
out
did,
there.
I remember a year ago,
Yeah.
and it just sort of, yeah,
You can fill the room up,
fill the room up.
yeah,
Fill the room
passionate
up,
side,
talking about
both
taking away
sides,
their bird feeders.
yeah.
Well, then,
Well,
yeah, then
so-
that'll be good.
And not only that, like, I remember my grandma, you know, she was huge hummingbird feeder, bird feeder everywhere. And she, you know, and she also had the bears come into her house, you know, and she'd shoo them out, and it was
Oh,
a whole,
my
there's a whole article.
And the good news is, if you guys decide you want to pass an ordinance like that and say there's no bird feeder, I will tell you right now, the mayor's going to get blamed, so have at it.
Well, and I just feel like it's like burn season during, you know, a drought, like we
Yep.
pull burn permits, right? You're not gonna be able to burn. You're limiting.
Seasonality that.
Yeah, and that's FWPs is basically, they're okay in the winter, and
Right.
their input was, that's when the birds need it anyway, they don't need it in the summer.
No.
Having said that, I'm married to a person who, I'm sure has a sticker somewhere that says, you can have my bird feeder when you pull it from my cold dry.
Like, yes, yes, yeah.
You know,
Hmm. But also, again, it's just, it's more of a public safety now, and then not only public safety, like wildlife safety.
Yeah,
bear
birds
safety.
don't need the damn food.
Right.
I just don't see where there's an exception, like, it's okay to use bird food, not garbage. I don't see the difference.
Yeah.
It's
They-
feeding
They
wildlife
do. That's a good point.
versus, yeah. I mean, I love birds too, but.
Well, I
like
searched in what the
birds,
other
but
towns are doing, and maybe there's some
it's
trapping
attractive.
system for food, that people can assemble something that the food falls down into a tarp. They take the tarp inside at night, but it's not falling on the ground, because that,
to me,
You can't
I like the
control
idea
birds.
of electrical fences, if you're gonna
Yeah.
do something with, that there, but I will tell you, my recollection, because I know we specifically, and it comes up in the mayor meeting, when we reached out to Gardner, when we reached out to Whitefish, the other communities,
Mhm.
nobody's gone there yet. We'd probably be one of the first ones,
I'm
and
game.
again, it'll
Right.
fill up a room, you're intruding on people's liberties when you tell them they can't feed the pretty birds.
Okay, well, it's also.
well, I'll
PD.
have a bird expert there to say the birds don't need your damn food.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'll call Zoo Montana, we'll get a specialist down
There
here.
you go, there we go.
Yeah, and then
It's
results,
council's
yeah.
prerogative, I'll do my darndest to enforce it, if, what, the rules that you guys put in place.
That's another thing, is trying to enforce it, it's just gonna be a whole nother show.
Well, they have it pretty public where their bird feeders are. They're all right out on their front porches, or right on their back trees, or whatever.
And that,
It's pretty
again, that,
public.
I still remember being a kid, and it was a known thing that, like, grandma in July would be like, all right, well, I gotta take the hummingbird feeders down, and I'm taking my bird feeders off. Like, we don't need them out because they're starting to attract
Yeah.
wildlife.
Now, the next step is you're telling me I can't have a barbecue grill on my back porch.
I mean.
Right, it's the same thing with garbage, bird food.
Right, but at the same time, I
attract-
mean, I go out there, I remember, I went out the other night, and I was like, oh my gosh, I made bacon on the Blackstone. And, after a couple of glasses of wine, I sat down, I was like, oh my gosh, and I jumped up and went out there and cleaned it,
Mm.
you know, and grabbed the
Get the
trap,
smell,
'cause
yeah.
that's
Just-
the
just
last
make
thing I
sure-
need.
Just make sure you have 4 votes when you bring it.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Got it.
and, you don't want your name in the paper.
Fine, $134.
I know, right?
Just kidding.
Heaven forbid. All right,
Okay,
do we
I'll
have
work on
any,
that for the next 2 weeks.
any other public
And
comment?
something else on, whatever else.
I know.
On my mind.
Anything else? Fairs related, anybody online? I don't see anybody. Cool,
Well,
all right. We are gonna go ahead and adjourn then.
All right, bye, see you guys in a little bit.
thank you.
Okey dokey.
Oh, yeah,
I'll be
okay.
fine.
Do I need to